Hi, my name is Clint Medeiros. This is my Mod 1, How Does Leadership Impact Academic, Non-Academic Activities and Barriers? A little about myself. Been married to my wife, Carissa, for 8 years. We have two kids, Easton, who's 7, and in second grade, Berkeley, who's 5, and in kindergarten, she'll turn 6 here shortly. A little bit about my career. I ended at Adams State University, graduated in 2008. I received my degree in K-12 physical education. 13 years in education. Spent the first 10 years of my career at La Junta Junior Senior High School. The last 3 years I've been at Pueblo West High School. Pueblo West has approximately 1,400 students, 60 staff members. I teach physical education and health, and I'm the head football coach here at Pueblo West High School. Describe at least 10 academic activities that are being utilized in your school district. First one is I'll talk about is Sychron, which is puts out a weekly YouTube video talking about activities within the school. It is a class. They partake in this during this class. DECA is a business activity class in which they run the school store. They sell candy, shirts, stuff like that. French Club, I don't know, not much explanation needed. JROTC, that is also a class, but they do after school activities as well. Key Club is a women's only club. It is a go out and do community service, put on a dance, stuff like that. The mock trial team, hold the mock trials. Speech and debate team, student council who runs the school. Yearbook and youth and government, which they talk about. It's an extension of the government classes that we have at our school. How does your school administrator support these activities? By attending activities. He goes and watches clubs activities. He has a club and activity day in which kids can sign up. I think we spend the last 2 hours of the day kids getting to explore some different clubs and finding what they're interested in. Acknowledging successes daily on our announcements. He talks about what kids did just to support them. Verbal support when he sees them in the hallway, gives them a hey, good job the other day. I'm proud of you. Way to work, stuff like that. He attends practice, pokes his head in when they're having meetings, stuff like that, and actively recruiting students to be part of these clubs and activities. What do you think about these activities? These educational activities are a vital part in allowing students to build social and emotional skills. They also allow students to build relationships and develop skills they were unaware they had. What would I do differently? This is tough. I haven't been on that end of it, but I'd continue to support as many activities as possible and work to get as many students involved as possible. I think that's the whole key, getting kids involved, getting them into something that they enjoy. My school and community do a great, what do teachers, students, and parents and other stakeholders think about these academic activities? I think our school and community does a great job supporting everything that we have, from academic to non-academic activities. We have great support from our parents and our community. Non-academic activities are being utilized in your school and district. We have a fishing club where we live right on a reservoir, so they go fish. We have a travel club that goes on a trip every 2 years. It was canceled last spring, but typically go on a trip every 2 years. Key Club, which is community service. I talked about it in the first one. I think it could be both non-academic and academic. Athletics, I think we always have 24 varsity athletics in our school. Homeroom, to 2 days a week class in which we have 20 students in each class and kind of talk about life skills, and there's a small curriculum that we follow. I think it's once a week we spend some time on that stuff. In that classroom, that homeroom class, we also do College Board, which is signing up for scholarships, prepping for the ACT, SAT, and then Naviance, which also is ACT, SAT prep in that homeroom class. We also teach some organizational guidance, which is how to organize, how to set up computers, how to keep everything straight. We have a political club, talks about politics, and we also have a lifting club, a weightlifting club that meets after school. How does our administrator support these? Supporting these activities, I think he does the same thing. After speaking to him, tries to teach everything or treat everybody the same, and he attends the activities, clubs, activity day, gets kids signed up, acknowledging students' successes, verbal support, attending practices, and recruiting. What do you think about these activities? I think these are important. They allow students to build skills that are not built in the classroom, such as teamwork, social skills, selflessness, hard work, and determination. Many students who struggle in the classroom can excel in non-academic situations. What would you do differently? Oh man, I think one thing that we could do a little better is in our homeroom we could develop a curriculum or find a curriculum for all teachers to follow to teach life lessons and skills. I also think we could develop a class or curriculum to teach lifelong skills. What do teachers, students, and parents and other stakeholders think about these academic activities? Most teachers, students, and parents would be in agreement that non-academic skills should and need to be taught. I don't think they're being taught at home to the extent that they need to be, and I think that our community is in agreement. 10 things you glean from the 8 resources and explain why it's significant. I took some quotes and pieces and parts from each resource and a couple from the ones I found, and I'll talk about each one. When we prioritize the integration of non-academic and social emotional skills with traditional academics, we move from what is now a simple requirement of ESSA towards the creation of learning environments that meet the needs of all students. We have to believe that all students need to learn and want to learn, and we have to find a way to interest kids. Whether it's academic or non-academic skills, we need to be able to interest those students and keep them involved. Many parents are optimistic that their children are learning what they need to succeed, but they are also less certain that assessment measure these long-term outcomes very well. I don't think the assessment is what we need to be hitting. I think we need to teach those skills. I think that too many teachers are forced to teach to the test, and it's caused some issues. Some of our children require these skills when they move on to the real world. However, some may not. That is why we strongly believe that early exposure to non-academic skills is imperative. Being proactive rather than reactive will yield positive results in the long run. Kids need to know how to shake a hand. Kids need to know how to speak. Kids need to know how to look people in the eye. And I don't think they're getting that at home. So that's going to fall on the schools to take those things on. Employers commonly use soft skills to include anything from being able to write a letter to showing up on time and having a firm handshake. It's huge. If I interview somebody, I want to know, how do they handle themselves? Can they carry a conversation? Do they know how to act socially? And I think a lot of employers are the same way. So that falls on the schools. Growth mindset is the belief that positive traits, including intelligence, can be developed with practice. Fixed mindset refers to the idea that intelligence and other talents are set at birth. We have to have the growth mindset. We have to believe that all students can and will learn. We have to push them to get what we need out of them, and that fixed mindset has to go away. We need to include all students in their learning. The old proverb, "It takes a village to raise a child," remains true today. Some would disagree and say it's sole responsibility of the family to raise a child. That may be true if the family unit were intact. Unfortunately, that's not the case in most places. I'm not sure what the percentage is here, but we have a fairly high percentage of 2-parent homes, and kids just do better. One parent, it's tough on them, and the school faces a little more burden in teaching them those social skills. Poverty is a major risk factor for students, but it's not the only risk factor that youth face. Today they grapple with such complex problems as teen pregnancy, substance abuse, suicide, and youth violence, among others. Kids face so many problems when they come to school. It should be a safe place and a place that we can teach them those skills that they need. From a lifespan theory perspective, the sense of control gained by constructively adjusting cognition and behavior and engaging in alternative paths and goals to lay a foundation for an enhanced sense of meaning and purpose. Kids have to have a purpose. They have to have goals. And I think it's up to the school a lot of times to find the interests of those kids and get them involved. That's where those non-academic and non-academic skills come in. Students are not being taught the necessary skills at home, so the responsibility falls on the schools and teachers to teach those non-academic skills. If they come from a place where they haven't got those skills, we have to instill them in those students. Being well-spoken and understanding how to thrive socially will allow for much higher success in the future. It's just kind of like the previous one I talked about. You have to be socially acceptable and know how to talk, know how to carry on a conversation, make eye contact, stuff like that. All right. Things that you have not seen your school principal do. Why do you think this is so? I feel like our principal does a good job of advocating for both academic and non-academic skills. I have not seen him support the non-academic skills to the level I feel he should. He also does not support all of the activities in an equal fashion, which I believe is important. He needs to make sure that everything is treated equal. I think he has too much on his plate and he struggles to find time for non-academic skills. I understand because being pushed to score at a high level, and it's tough, especially as a principal. All right, my standard correlation, my relevance, and reflection. I really enjoyed the assignment because I never really looked at the academic and non-academic programs within our school and community. I was also able to look and find a way in which our current administration promotes and works to improve these programs. I think this will be hugely beneficial for me in the future. Last but not least is the references. I appreciate your time.